Hello and welcome back to another video. I've got a good one for you. I'm very excited about it because my last video about recent updates in the world of nutrition from the dietary guidelines was so well received. I will link that one up above here if you haven't seen it, because there was a lot of changes to the dietary guidelines. And recently, the American Heart Association has updated their guidelines on what it means to eat a heart-healthy diet. In the similar fashion, I took you on a journey to that article, which I have also posted down below in the description, and we'll go through it together. In that, you will see there are kind of 9 main points that we focus on. We actually really only focus on 6 of those because the video started getting long and I want to keep this concise. So if you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and let me know in the comments what you would like to see more of. I will see you in the video. All right, so let's take a look at this new article published by the American Heart Association. So you'll see it here on my screen, and I will have a direct link to this down in the description as well. But without going into how to properly read an article, we're just going to kind of jump in and get into the good stuff. So essentially, this paper was put out by the American Heart Association as a scientific statement on dietary guidance to improve cardiovascular health or heart health. So essentially sharing with us, based on science, what the latest research is saying on how to keep your heart healthy through diet. Okay, so I'll let you take your own time to read through the abstract, because that gives you a really nice overview of the entire article. But I'm going to jump right into the dietary principles here. So essentially, what is interesting here is this focus on dietary patterns or dietary principles. And so what this does is it encompasses all the foods and beverages that are consumed throughout the day. And so that's essentially what they're taking into consideration here. Specifically at the bottom here, they're saying that dietary patterns higher in plant-based foods and lower in animal products have been associated with lower coronary heart disease risk, also known as heart disease that we talk about all the time, and metabolic profiles as well. And then heart-healthy dietary patterns are also low in foods and beverages that are high in added sugars, saturated fat, and sodium. So things that we talk about on this channel all the time. Essentially, we're looking for whole foods that you could grow in your own garden, you could find in the produce section of the grocery store, or in the kind of cook it yourself aisles. So the dried beans, canned beans, rice, all of those kind of things. Essentially things that our grandparents would make. If you can make it in your kitchen, not that you have to, but if you could, that is going towards a heart-healthy diet, right? No one is making highly processed foods in their own kitchen because we don't have the equipment for it. So that's essentially the dietary pattern that we're looking for heart health. We get into a little bit more of across the lifespan, which is kind of cool because some of that will change based on children, adulthood, and older adulthood. So that's an interesting read if you have the time, but I'm going to jump further now into dietary patterns that promote cardiovascular health. You can see over here in the top left. So I'm going to jump to that section. Now we're going to expand the table here, and this is some really interesting highlights of the features of these patterns that we just talked about. So this goes a lot along the lines of what myself and other dietitians talk about a lot. Making sure that you're not only eating enough, but not eating too much. So you're finding balance in the amount of food that you're eating, and you're making sure that you're moving your body, right? And adjusting energy intake and how much you're moving to achieve and maintain a healthy body weight. I don't like that they put this as number one, because weight is often too focused on for health results, whereas I like to look at weight as a byproduct of healthy behaviors. So if we because weight can put a lot of pressure on people, and what I like to do instead is, instead of focusing solely on the number of weight, because that can fluctuate like 5 pounds in a day, right? It's a very fluctuating number. What I like to help people focus on is moving their body regularly and eating more nutritious foods, and making sure that their energy balance or intake meets the amount of movement that they're doing. And more often than not, people are not eating enough, especially when they're focusing on more of those whole food sources. So I wish that one was moved down the list a little bit, but regardless, it is something that the population likes to talk about, so that's probably why they put it first. Number 2, eating plenty of vegetables and fruits, and choose a wide variety. Eat the rainbow, right? That's my absolute favorite thing. As soon as I learned that, I was like, yes, this is it. Eat the rainbow, eat a variety, and honestly, eat as much as you possibly can, okay? You cannot overeat fruits and vegetables. Yes, fruits included with their sugar and all, okay? Fruits and vegetables, our bodies know what to do with. They are loaded with fiber, they're loaded with water, and they are loaded with so many nutrients. And the more variety you get, the more variety of nutrients that you get, right? So when we think about eating foods high in vitamin C, yes, that's great. They're also oranges, strawberries, all berries, peppers, all those things. All those foods are giving you vitamin C, but they're also giving you so many other nutrients, vitamins and minerals. And so if you only focus on one nutrient, you're missing out on all these other health benefits that can come from eating a variety. All right, number 3, choose foods made mostly with whole grains rather than refined grains. Yes. I love this because it's so true. Whole grains offer fiber and protein and B vitamins, and all of those things are lacking in refined grains. Now, I'm going to pause here for a moment because I want to let you know that if there's any of these that you feel is really interesting and you'd like for me to do a deep dive in, I would love to do a whole video on each of these individual topics. So pause this video right now, go into the comments, and let me know which of these 9 topics you would like me to dive deeper into, because that sounds really fun to me and I would love to hear from you. All right, so welcome back. Number 4, choose healthy sources of protein. Now, the term healthy can vary, right? But what we're talking about specifically is shifting from meat to plant sources. So it's not saying eliminate meat altogether, which unless, you're a vegan or a vegetarian, then absolutely, of course. But what it's saying is shift that way. We don't need to eat more meat. Definitely. We can shift towards more plant-based sources coming from legumes and nuts and beans and peas and tofu and all these delicious things, okay? Now, again, if you're vegan or vegetarian, this one does not apply. Regularly consume fish and seafood, sure, it's fine. If that's a part of your life, go for it. If not, it's not something you need to add in order to be healthy, right? You can get all the protein and omegas that you need from food that comes from plants rather than animals. But if you do eat meat, opting for fish or other seafood as a good meat replacement, even though it is still coming from an animal. So keep that in mind as you're making decisions. Again, if you do eat dairy, this is a little interesting because I am of the mindset that if you do eat dairy, eating full fat dairy in terms of like ice cream and cheese, tends to be a little bit more beneficial because it has that, it has more fat in it. So it's more satiating. But things like, or even things like yogurt, right? If you're consuming a lot of milk, cow's milk, then you are wanting to do that as a lower fat option for sure. But there is something to the amount of fat that's present that helps those foods feel more satiating, and you don't need to eat as much of it. But if you do consume dairy, this is one to be mindful of, and really check in with your own health. This is a great opportunity to talk to a dietitian about it one-on-one, because they can take in your the rest of your health profile and your lifestyle to help you navigate how much dairy and whether a fat-free or low-fat is better for you than full-fat, because there's a lot of debates on that one. So I'll keep that one a little bit in limbo unless you want me to go a little bit more in detail. And then finally, if red meat is desired, choose lean cuts, avoid processed forms, and limit portion size. Right on here, right? So choosing lean cuts means less marbling. Marbling is just a fancy word for fat, saturated fat at that, right? So choosing lean cuts and limiting it as often as possible. Save it for special occasions if you really enjoy it. Avoid processed forms, so limit the amount of processed deli meats or sausages or things like that. And then of course, limit portion size. We don't need to be eating multiple ounces. A 4 ounces is technically a serving size. So 4 to 6 ounces in a meal is reasonable. Okay, so with that, we're getting really long here in this video. So I'm actually going to stop there for today, and let's wrap it up. Thanks for watching this video. And as I mentioned, if there is one of those 9 topics we just kind of briefly looked at, let me know in the comments which one is most interesting to you and which one you'd like to learn more about. These are topics that I have talked about extensively in my career as a corporate wellness dietitian, and it is something that I would love to talk with you all about as well. So if one strikes your fancy and you'd like to learn more, I'm happy to do a separate video on it, but I want to know which one is the most well interested. So for that, I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if you'd like to see more. I'll see you in the next one.